Welcome to Not Factory Approved, Episode B of the Sandblast cabinet construction. Everything has to be reinforced yet, but that's the basic idea. This will be the bottom. And so much for adjusting with one hand. This will go in here, 5¼ inches square. Can't do it one-handed. That's the idea. It fits between those two. And I'll have to build a piece to go around the outside, seal it off, and then we'll have a hinge door on here with a seal and the lips going up over the edge, so when you open it, it doesn't flow at the sides. And that should do it. It's sloped slightly, or positioned slightly towards the back. You can see that. 13 inches on the front slope, and 11 inches on the back slope. And that's the piece that's going to do it. Last one for the housing, other than the top door. There's the basic idea. It's upside down, of course. I have to trim some more here from this one. It's a bit too tall. But that's how it fits. And I'll screw it all together. It would be better if this was on the outside like this. I'll still work on that. But chances are it's going to be like that. And then I have to put screws in, hold everything together, whatever I'm going to do to seal the joints. But that's the basic idea. It sits around the other way, just like the other sandblaster hood. I'm using old bicycle tube as my rubber seal for the joints on the bottom anyway. I've got some in there now, you can see. Fold it over, punch the holes so the screws don't wrap around it. And there's the tube there, so I'm getting, out of each section, I'm getting 2 pieces. So that'll be enough for the 4 panels here. It won't be enough for in here. So I have to see if I got another tube for that. Other thing that's important to do is to cut those screws off. They're incredibly sharp. They'll rip open your hands. My hands in this case. I don't want to be watching out for them every time I clean out the cabinet. I cut off the screws and ground them down, and they were still pretty sharp. So I just took some cheap caulking and put a daub over each screw shaft. And that hopefully will stop getting injured. So the angle I've got it at, I will always have to brush this out. I didn't have enough metal to make it any bigger, any deeper than that. This side, these sides should be okay. It's those ones that will not be okay. But carrying on. So I still have the portholes to cut for the hands, for the arms. Got the back to cut for the furnace fan that's going on it over there. And I've got to frame up the lid yet as well. And then of course make a stand for it. And the pickup tube and the air line and lights. A few things to go yet. I don't believe it myself, but I actually thought ahead this time. This is going to go here. This. Got this piano hinge. Then I have this piece of metal here. And that goes on like that. The piano, it goes on top of the piano hinge. That goes on like that. It goes on top of the piano hinge, not underneath it. And I've got some gap there. I'll be putting in some rubber strip. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use just 1/8 inch on one side only, or 2 1/16. That will go together. And so I've drilled these holes a little bit bigger. I've just welded on a couple of 1.25 bolts, 1.5 there. Nothing pretty, but nobody's going to see it. No hold, and that goes on there, and this will pick up, honest, paint sticky still, and drop down. So I'll be putting wing nuts on there like this. I thought about it for quite a while, what kind of latch I was going to put on there, and just decided I'll do this way. The amount of times that I have to change the media, not very often, so it won't be a big pain. I say that now. So just put that all back together and then put the rubber strips on, and that'll be done. I ran the frame through the cheap bead roller I've got. Then I'm going to use these legs that I've cut in half to form that around there so it doesn't have a sharp edge sticking out. There's the cheap bead roller, $200 special, on sale of course. Another one of my fine made in a faraway land where they eat a lot of rice tools, but it does the job. Even though it's hand powered. So let's see if I can do something with this. These are the legs for the Sandblaster. So I'll have these casters. The overall distance is, overall length is 6 inches. Cut these down to fit. So I got to paint them yet. That's where it attaches to the frame, just sitting there. And then the hood sits on top of that. These ones are 6 feet at the moment, so it would be the shelf rails. Help stabilize the legs. And it was such thick metal and it's so heavy that I decided to cut it in half. So I'll use that as the rails as well. So it'll be a good strong base. I know it's a lot of work for nothing, but it was just too heavy with using the pipe, and there's not many scrap metal dealers around here that you can get metal from. So use what I got. So now I have to cut that in 4 foot and 2 foot, and that'll be the shelf rails and the legs, and the angle iron from the bed rails are for the inside. For the fan, which is sitting there, and it should be strong, and it should be movable, and hopefully not tip over, which I'm going to have some weight hanging off the back, so I still have to make sure that I can attach it to the frame with clips or something so that it can't fall backwards. Can't pull the hood off. Now it's starting to look like something. So these legs splay out slightly. It's upside down, of course. I have this just resting on the clamps. I'll just tack it here. And I've got it upside down so the shelf sits flat on that. I've got it so that it's about 1/4 inch spread on the legs over the length of 4 feet. And I'll do the 2 foot sections likewise. So let's tack it. I welded up both sets of legs. I realized I hadn't set this one to the right angle for both legs. So, of course, I welded it completely first. So I cut it so it was bendable, still holding. And I've clamped it to the other one because the other one is where I want it. Now to finish welding. There it is. Stands, slightly flared legs, doesn't rock. I just have to put the casters on now. And just verify the height. Might be a little tall. It's going up another 6 inches with the casters. Oh well. So these ones, the long bars, I put on first. And I made a template to cut them out so that they would fit properly. They're all welded on the other side. I'm not going to weld both sides. Doesn't hold that much weight. And then these ones I just eyeballed to get them to fit and ground them out accordingly. Oh, should be good and strong. Thing I have to do yet is to have two runners that go across for the spout of the cabinet, and then a square piece as well to hold the metal I put on there. I might just leave it as two shelves, who knows. Anyway, ideally I'll have a square cutout for the spout of the cabinet. There it is, one rolling cabinet. More to be done, of course. Lots of room there, lots of room on the shelf. Be able to put a fair amount on there. It's good and strong, doesn't flex. It's a little tall, but I think it's okay for me. I'm just under 6 feet. I was 6 feet at one point, but you know how it goes. It's coming up pretty much to the middle of my chest. And I can look down through. I got it marked for the center point for the arms. And I think that should work. I've got the supports to put in. Rear bottom shelf to make. And then of course the top and the glass and the venting and the lights and all that kind of stuff. And the fan to mount. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.